From your standing position, completely relax your shoulders. Check that you're breathing. And we'll take a breath in as you reach your arms out and up. Tummy's drawing in automatically into Greyhound. Arms back, out and down. Let's do our first roll down. Head comes forward. Rolling down through your spine. Scoop your tummy up. It might feel a bit stiff. You're just going wherever you can get to with straight knees. Arms dangling. Let's take a breath here. And we'll activate the backs of the legs to roll back up. Your lumbar spine comes up first, then your mid-spine, then your neck, then your head. Breathe in, reach out and up. Out and back down. Another roll down. Scooping the spine down, connecting up the tummy. Shoulders are relaxed, head's relaxed. Let's take a breath. Coming back up, bit by bit, asking the shoulders to drop naturally into the rib cage. Big breath in, reach out and up. Allow your rib cage to follow your fingertips up to the ceiling. Arms out and back down. Good. Roll down. We'll start to bend the knees. And we're going to walk the hands out and we're going to come up into our downward dog. So adjust your feet to wherever you need to go. Push your body back and up through the heels of your hands. Depending on how stretchy you are, depend on how straight you have your knees. If it's not comfy, you can bend them. Roll your sitting bones up to the ceiling. Find your neutral spine. Take a breath here. And then we're going to straighten the legs and come forward into plank, where we feel our pelvis is roughly level with our rib cage. Neck is long and lifted. Breathing. Let's come up into downward dog again. We're going to push into the floor. The body comes back and up. You can adjust your feet accordingly. Big stretch up to the ceiling. Maybe this time we could drop our heels further to the floor. Big breaths as you relax into your downward dog. Let's come forward into plank again. Strong arms, neck long and soft. Take a breath. Knees to the floor and child's pose. Reach your arms forward to work into your shoulder flexion. Ask your joints and your legs to fold. Take a breath. We're coming up into 4-point kneeling. Let's bring our hands a bit more further forward than normal. And let's mobilize the spine. So we're going to tip the pelvis forward, roll up into cat. The head lowers, the spine stretches up. Take a breath. Well, let's maintain our cat. Your tucked pelvis is staying there as you fold back a little bit. You won't go very far, but it stretches your back a bit more and your shoulders. Then we're going to flow forward into a lifted cobra. Chest, breastbone lifts high, pelvis lowers as the abdomen supports it, stretching your spine up to the ceiling. Use your abs to come back to the center. In our neutral spine, we'll go again. Take a breath and then tuck the pelvis underneath. Get your whole spine involved with your cat. Big stretch. Push the floor away with your hands and your knees. Maintain your cat. Let's go back. This is called angry cat. Take a moment there. Then we'll flow forward. Lifted cobra. Trust that your abdomen will support your spine as you extend up. Shoulders are firmly on rib cage. Come back up to your neutral. Let's do one more. Cat. Angry cat. Big stretch. Flow forward. Lifted cobra. Let's come into child's pose. Another deep breath. Coming back up into 4-point kneeling. Tuck your toes underneath. Let's come up into downward dog. Big stretch. And then forward into plank. From here, we're going to come into pigeon stretch. So I'm going to bring my right knee landed on the mat, and I'm going to slowly soften down into pigeon. So we don't have to go very far. It feels stiff, but my back knee is down, and I'm just kind of rolling and having a little wriggle here to soften, to stretch my deep hip. Taking a few breaths. It should feel therapeutic. You can decide to keep moving, or maybe you find a bit of that stretch that feels good. And then we'll just stretch the chest up into a gentle cobra. Take your time, use your legs to come up, tuck your toes underneath at the back, and then we're going to come up into plank again. Lift, take the leg back, and then we'll do the other side. Rest your knee on the floor. This side's a bit stiffer. And so we're just going to slowly ease ourselves into it. It's a deep stretch. Maybe a bit of rocking from side to side, or maybe you prefer to stay still, but it's all good. Check that we've not gone collapsed in the neck. We're going to keep long and lifted in the neck. Breathe. Okay. Lift the chest, gentle cobra. Tuck your toes underneath on the back foot, and we're going to push up into plank again. Good. Downward dog. Take a breath in downward dog. Now you can come into this next position however you want to, but I'm going to do it in a flowy kind of way, and I'm going to bring my left foot forward, and it's going to replace my left hand. So I'm going to just go back to prepare, soften my knees, and I'm going to spring forward, left foot replaces left hand. And then I'm in a big deep hip flexor stretch. So you might need to crawl that foot forward a bit more, or take your back knee back further. You're going to rest your fingertips either side of the foot and lunge forward. This is a deep hip flexor stretch. So we're going to stay here for a few moments. You might need blocks here if you can't quite reach the floor. If it's too much, have a rest. Sinking into your deep hip flexor stretch. So I feel a big stretch in the front of my right thigh, which is this back thigh here. Then we're going to stretch the hamstrings so the front foot stays firm. As we fold back, my fingertips aren't really moving, and you should feel a stretch here in the front hamstring. Pause and breathe. Coming forward, hip flexor stretch. Let's see if we can lengthen the spine this time. Maybe a bit of cobra. It really feeds into the hip flexor stretch. Allow it to happen. And then let's go back into our hamstring again. Foot stays firm on the floor. Let's think a bit of cat this time so we can stretch the spine up. Lower the head. Keep the breath soft. Let's go one more forward. Hip flexor stretch. Maybe there's a bit more available to us and we can sink into a bit further. Nice straight spine. Lovely. Back into our hamstring one more time. And let's come somewhere in the middle. We're going to use the legs to push us into upright. If you're a bit wobbly, you can always take your foot a bit wider. So from here, another hip flexor stretch, but slightly different to what we've been doing. We're going to tuck the pelvis. My right leg is back, so I'm going to reach my right arm up and side reach over to my left, so away from the leg that I'm stretching. It feeds into the hip flexor stretch a bit deeper. So a gentle tuck and a reach up and over. Big stretch and breathe. And soften. Bring your hands back down to the mat on the inner side of your foot. Tuck your toes underneath at the back. We're pushing back up into plank again. Nice firm plank, take a breath. Downward dog. Adjust your feet as you need to. And we're going to do everything on the other side. We're going to bend the knees. And then we're going to replace the right hand with the right foot. Back knee comes down. And we're ready to stretch into that hip flexor. Softening the pelvis forward. Holding for a few moments. And then we'll stretch the hamstring on the front leg. Foot stays firm on the floor. Keep your fingertips where they are. And go back. The leg straightens a little bit at the front. It might not straighten completely. Ensure it feels therapeutic. Strong enough to be therapeutic, but not too strong to be sore. And then we'll come forward again into that hip flexor. Maybe there's a bit more available. Maybe you've noticed you've got a very different left side to the right side. That's important to notice. Could we straighten the spine? Think a little bit of cobra if it's available. Keeping the breath soft. Let's go back into that hamstring again, stretching the front leg. Going back the way. Let's think a bit of cat. Gently tucking the pelvis, stretching the spine up. Neck still soft. Forward again into our hip flexor, stretch. Sinking into it a bit deeper. Allowing it to happen. Back into your hamstring. Lovely. So come somewhere in the middle. Use your legs to push you into upright. You might want to change the position of your foot so you're a bit more steady. We're going to tuck the pelvis. Left leg is back, so we're going to reach the left arm up, which feeds into the whole hip flexor stretch through here. Side reaching over and away. Breathe. Maybe lunging into it a bit further if it feels the right thing to do. Soften. Bring your hands back down to the mat. On the inner side of your foot, tuck your toes underneath at the back, and we're lifting up. Back up into plank again. Take a breath. Soften your neck. Downward dog. Maybe it feels a bit looser. Maybe there's a bigger movement available to you. Take a breath. Coming forward, 4-point kneeling, and child's pose. Maybe this feels softer too. Reaching the arms forward, having a little swish from side to side. Let's reach both hands over to the right, really reaching that arm across. Just have a big stretch down the side of the body. And then the other side. And then option 2, take your knees wide and rest in your child's pose to finish.